and welcome back to the Exist Better YouTube channel. Today we are talking about dream work, finally. This is the kind of thing that I should have talked about on this channel ages ago, but better late than never. We're doing a whole episode on dream work, what it is, and at the end we'll talk about exactly how to get started with dream work. It's pretty simple, pretty intuitive. Even if you suck at it, you can still do dream work. Okay, so I want to just quickly lay a foundation because I think it's always useful to understand things in the context of our culture. So let's talk about something I'm going to call the bias against dream work. In our culture, as you probably know, we have not integrated dream work into mainstream psychology. We've not integrated it into therapy. And the general consensus, I think, is that dreams are very weird. They're very confusing. They scare us. Scientifically, they're meaningless. They mean nothing. They're just sort of like brain spasms that you are having at night to sort of like off-gas energy or something. It's just this incredibly mechanical understanding of dreams that we have in this culture. And as I've talked about in the materialism video I did, this is par for the course, right? Anything on that sort of feminine, more intuitive side of reality is sort of just considered mysterious and weird. Even if we have a more positive perspective and a more meaningful perspective on dreams, we still usually don't know what to do with them. And pretty much no one is taught how to work with their dreams, make sense of their dreams, and definitely we never hear about any practical use for dreams. Okay, so what are dreams? Dreams are impartial, spontaneous products of the unconscious psyche, outside the control of the will. They are pure nature. They show us the unvarnished natural truth and are therefore fitted, as nothing else is, to give us back an attitude that accords with our basic human nature when our unconscious has strayed too far from its foundations and runs into an impasse. So that was very wordy, but the piece I want to pull out here is that dreams are nature. Dreams are an expression of living nature. Dreams speak the language of the unconscious. They speak the language of the body, and they speak through that right brain perception, right? So that metaphor, that symbolism, that like earthy kind of primal emotion and energy, that is how dreams speak. So I have been asked like at least a couple of times on this channel like for book recommendations, and I always feel so stupid because I never have any. I'm not like the biggest book person. I'm almost like too impatient for a book. I need like articles and I watch videos and whatever. So I really only read books when I feel that they are very practically going to help me. Interestingly, for whatever reason, I have actually found dream books to do that the most. They teach me the most. So I'm just going to show you basically what I think are like the most important things in terms of like what to read. Okay, so book one, we've got Inner Work by Robert Johnson, and this is like a famous book. This is not niche. This book, Inner Work, has the reason I like it is because it gives actual real examples of his clients and what would happen with their, like giving examples of dream work. And he tells stories of his own dream work, and it's just incredibly fascinating. So if you feel like you need more of a grounded understanding of like the basics and examples and what to do and how to do it, this is like a pretty good book. I have like, I don't even know here. Oh, and he talks about rituals here too. I have like highlights and I have pages folded. That's how you know it's a good one. So this is a good book, Inner Work by Robert Johnson. This is going to be the most important thing I say. This book is called Let Your Body Interpret Your Dreams by Eugene Gendlin. He was a professor, Dr. Gendlin, PhD, professor of psychology at the University of Chicago. So extremely underrated guy. He basically developed a somatic process for interpreting your dreams. And so to me, this is like groundbreaking. This is way ahead of its time. I think this is from like the, I don't even know, 80s or something. But he basically is fusing unconscious work and somatic work. Basically, his whole framework is grounded in questions. So he has about maybe like 10 to 15 questions that will allow you to interpret your dream. And then he has something called the bias control, which is genius, right? Because the conscious mind can't usually accurately interpret a dream right off the bat, right? And he talks about all these things that get in the way of that. The main thing he says is the inner critic. The inner critic tries to interpret the dream, and then obviously like the dream means you're stupid and lazy and you're failing at life, right? Like obviously not a good interpretation. Like we said in that Carl Jung quote, dreams are always impartial. Dreams do not have judgments about you. They do not have opinions about whether you're a horrible person or a great person, whether you're doing really bad in life and really good. Dreams are an expression of instinctual nature. They are telling you this is what is happening. They're not giving you the objective truth. They're giving you your truth. This is what's true for you right now, right? So this is the value in this book of the bias control. He teaches you how to do a bias control so that you're not just interpreting all your dreams in this superficial, kind of judgy, whitewashing over all of the details sort of way. I have read this book like multiple times. This is probably, I don't think I've ever spent as much time with a book as I did this. So Let Your Body Interpret Your Dreams by Eugene Gendlin. It's the ticket. I also bought this really adorable dream journal, which it's funny because I have this book because it was my intention to like neatly keep everything in a book. And like anyone who does dream work, like, you know, that just doesn't happen. So I've got pages, I've got papers everywhere, I've got dreams in my phone notes, and I just don't think I'm ever gonna have an incredibly organized dream interpretation place. I always talk about on this channel, you know, bridging the gap between the conscious and the unconscious. I always talk about bridging that gap or opening the lines of communication. Dream work is the most obvious and direct and literal way to do that. You're living a waking life. You're having experiences. You're taking action. And it's all through your conscious ego. So it's this just one little like sliver of you, basically, that you're living through. And that's when you're awake, right? When you sleep, your dreams open up the whole thing to show you what else there is. So the real way that we're meant to do dream work is we live as the conscious self, we live through the ego, we have a waking life, we have a day, and then we go to sleep and the dream tells us what else there is that we're missing. And then we live a totally different life there in the unconscious, in the dream world, and then we wake up and we go, what the hell was that? And then it's supposed to be a conversation between living, waking action and sleeping, unconscious exploration. So the unconscious gives you what you're living and feeling on a very deep level, and your waking life gives you an opportunity to do something about that. When you start to take action in relation to your dreams as a response to your dreams, your dream world will change, and it will give you new information and new confirmations about whether you're on the right or wrong track. And again, it's not like good or bad, it's just here's what you would probably want to be happening, and here's something that's more painful that you probably wouldn't want to be happening, right? No judgment. So let's say you don't dream. Let's say you just like, it's blank, you fall asleep, you wake up, you don't really know what happens in between, you just assume you don't dream, right? This is just a lack of connection. It's like saying, I have no brain activity at night. It's like, you're probably dreaming, right? Maybe not every night, maybe it's not always something important. Some dreams just seem kind of, seem a bit more random than others, and you'll get to learn the difference. But if you feel that you don't dream, or that you don't remember your dreams, you know you dreamt, you wake up and it's just like a fog. Basically, we haven't initiated that connection strongly yet. The unconscious doesn't believe we're listening, because we're probably not listening that much, right? We're just like living day-to-day life, not paying attention. So if you want to start getting that clear information, a couple things you can do. 1, meditate before bed with the intention of remembering your dreams. So real simple, could be 10-15 minutes. I think the longer it is, if you did longer, like a half hour, even an hour, you'd probably have much better results. But even just 15 minutes, 10 minutes is something. And if you start doing it every night as just a reminder, like, this is me, this is my action to start the process. 2, always have a pen and paper next to your bed. Very classic dream advice. But even if you have a really strong connection with kind of your subconscious, never assume that you will wake up and remember a dream. The third thing, if you feel like you don't dream or you don't remember your dreams, or if you have recurring dreams. So this is especially true, this next point, for recurring dreams. If you're having recurring dreams and they're always exactly the same theme, same thing happens, then what that means is your dream world can only give you the next step of your development. So one example I can give in terms of recurring dreams is I have had so many dreams over the years, and this is partly my fault for not prioritizing this issue, but forgetting to feed animals, having pets, forgetting to feed them, leaving them in the basement, right? The basement is the symbol of the unconscious, and always just forgetting to feed these animals, or there would always be some kind of issue where I couldn't get home to feed them. I would forget they existed, right? So clearly this was a dream symbol. There was a part of me that was continuously neglected for years and years and years and years. And I've only very, very recently started having dreams where I was feeding animals. So this is a recurring dream that went on for years. So the point being, your unconscious can only give you the next step. If you don't take the next step, your dreams are going to be really tedious. They're going to be really repetitive and kind of a bummer, because you're not doing the work in your daily waking life. So yes, you can only get the next step. So that's the thing with recurring dreams. Next thing, nightmares. This is something I learned from this book by Eugene Genlin that I just talked about earlier. So nightmares are about, a lot of times they're about what is avoided and resisted, what we are repulsed by, what we are in deep aversion to. So this is the shadow, right? The conscious self is in aversion. It's in deep aversion to the shadow. A lot of the terrifying things that will show up in your dreams are actually things that would be good for you, or at the very least, they're not nearly as scary or dangerous as you consciously feel them to be. So when this energy is getting stirred around with nightmares, it's it's showing you something you're afraid of, obviously, but it could also be showing you something that you've warped it so much in your mind that you're seeing it as almost evil, but it's actually not evil at all. As you progress in your dream work, these nightmare, scary symbols that keep popping up, like for example, in the Animus video, I talked about the bad, scary man who's always chasing you and the murderer. These dream symbols will mature and they will grow up as you grow up. So the scary, terrifying murderer, right? Like take that all the way to the end of its development. This could go on for years within a person, right? That scary murderer can become something deeply useful that has emerged in your psyche that you can now use in your waking life. And then the nightmares can go away because that is no longer an issue. So to reiterate one of my points, the reason in our culture that dreams are considered nonsense and gibberish is because we've forgotten the language of nature itself. So we're a living part of nature. That's why we're having dreams. We've forgotten that language, the language of the right brain. We always talk about symbol, metaphor, emotion, intuition, instinct. We've forgotten that language, so now it's all gibberish to us. But again, if you get this book by Eugene Gendlin, he teaches how to basically use your somatic felt sense, your physical body's felt sense, to feel what a dream interpretation is. So when you start doing that deep work, you're not going to need a dream dictionary. You can use them. They're useful. I think they're accurate in some sense, but you're not going to need that sort of outside interpretation. You're going to have the interpretation because it's in your body. It's coded into you because you're living, you're a part of nature, and your body's trying to tell you something about yourself. So that's it. So have a good day, have a good night, dream well, and even if you don't, that's probably not bad either. I'll see you next time.